Hi, this is Sam here with Batch Stoves, and I wanted to do a baking test. I had a comment on one of the videos asking if you could use the dry baking dish and actually bake the whole package. Well, I didn't know. I just used half a package because it said it makes 6 muffins, so I figured 3 muffins is enough for one portion, and it is a pretty big size muffin. But as you can see, mixed up, the whole package is a pretty good bit. So we're going to give it a shot. I've got my 10 centimeter dry baking dish with nothing in it, no kind of oil or cooking spray. And let's actually see how much we can get, if we can get this whole package in here. Now, of course, when you cook this, it's going to rise. So that's really what I'm afraid of. I guess it'll just kind of go out the top, but we'll see what happens. This chocolate chip smells really pretty good. So, okay, that's most of it. And as you can see, well, it probably does go about halfway. This holds about 16 ounces of liquid. I'm also going to use the BatchStovez adjustable flame stove. It's a chimney type stove. It works good for simmering, that type of thing. I'm going to use 1 ounce of heat gas line antifreeze. This is a 1 ounce fuel bottle. I don't know if you can see, but it's not quite to the top. Also going to use my dry baking combo. This is just a ring I made out of some aluminum oven liner, cookie sheet type material, foil. It's real thin. Just cut a 1.5 inch strip and fold it in half, and then you can kind of tuck it back into itself to make a ring. And that way you can adjust it to whatever size you need, but works really well. And you know, it's flexible. You can, it doesn't have to be ring shaped. It can be whatever shape you need it to be. Real easy to manipulate out in the field. And drop your dry baking dish in there. And as you can see, you still have about, with the 10 centimeter dry baking dish in there, you still have about with the 10 centimeter dry baking dish in there, you see you still have about a 1/2 inch of height. I'm going to put the lid on there. I'm going to turn this stove down to low just by closing the vents there, and then we'll put it on, and I'm going to set this timer. Hopefully it's legible from that angle. And I'm going to put a windscreen on here. And this is good so you can kind of adjust the heat that's going in there. If it gets way too hot, or if you think it's getting too hot, you can kind of open it up a little bit and let some air get in there and whisk the flame around. But that's normally pretty good. So like I said, this is Betty Crocker chocolate chip muffin mix. I tell you, when this stuff is mixing up, it really smells good. This video is going to be long, so I'm going to kind of cut in and out. But we're about a minute and 45 seconds in, and we'll check on it at about the 5-minute mark. And I expect it to take about 20 to 30 minutes to bake this. Since I'm using the whole package, I'm not sure. It might take 30 to 40 minutes, so we'll see. That was another question. You know, how long will the stove run, and how long does it take to bake a whole package, if in fact you can bake a whole package? So those are all questions that I'm going to try to answer in this video. So we'll see. So we're about 8.5 minutes in. I'll check on it again about the 15-minute mark, and we'll see where we're at. Okay, we're at the 15-minute mark now. I've got just a sort of a small flame. Let me see if I can show you the flame. What we got going on here? You can see that there's just a very light flame just kind of wisping the bottom of the pot, and that's really all you need for dry baking. The temperature inside the dry baking dish when it's baking, let's see if we can get a temp on that. I think it might be hard to get too accurate of a temperature. Check the temperature when they're cooked and when they're baking before, and it's around 225. Depending on what stove you're using, it's around 225. I can tell you now that the muffin has risen quite substantially, and it's hard to get a real accurate temperature because I let most of the heat out when I opened the lid to put the thermometer in there. But right now it's reading 186. So, and I've made a mess because of the muffin has risen so much that, well, you can see it's almost to the top. It's still pretty wet. At any rate, made a mess everywhere with that thermometer. But we're at 17 minutes, and the way it looks right now, it's probably going to go about 30 minutes. So we'll let it continue to bake, and I'll check it again at around the 25-minute mark. Okay, so we're around 25 minutes now. The flame is still going. Excuse me, the stove is still going. The flame is maintaining that little nice temperature that it was at before that I showed you. The muffin has completely risen to the top now, as you can see, I think. And it's getting to be about done. It's not wet anymore, and it's starting to feel a little spongy. To be on the safe side, I'm going to give it another 5 minutes, and I'm also curious to see how long the stove goes. So I'm going to at least give the muffin about another 4 to about the 30-minute mark. We'll see how it goes, and then we'll see how long it takes for the stove to run out. Alright, so we'll check back in about 4 minutes. Okay, so we're at the 30-minute mark, and the stove is just going. Let's see what our muffin looks like. As you can see, the mess I made when I tried to stick the temperature probe in there. But I don't know if you can see, but it's nice and spongy, and the sides they appear to be brown. I'm gonna call it done, feels pretty good. Hopefully it won't be doughy in the middle. We'll have to see. But I'm going to go ahead and take it off the stove. And you know, it's real nice with this silicone handle. It allows you to pick the pot right up, and as long as you leave it in this configuration while it's baking, the handle doesn't get too hot and you can grab the silicone. If you leave it folded over, the silicone will get, and it's touching the pot, the silicone will get warm. But if you leave it up like that, it stays fairly cool. I'm going to sit this off to the side and let it cool. And when it gets cool enough, I'm going to take it out of the see if I can do that now. The only bad thing about this is the 10 centimeter pot, the dry baking dish, doesn't have a handle. But you can use a Leatherman, something like that. Most people carry something with them on the trail to for, you know, whatever reason. I know I carry a Leatherman type stove. And the stove, as you can see, it was just dying down there at the end, and it has went out. So that's pretty good burn time for a stove. 32 minutes. That's really all you need. You don't really need to have a stove that burns longer than you need to. So on 1 ounce of fuel, this lasts enough for us to get our baking done. And what I like about this stove is I do a lot of rice dishes, and I will set it to high and bring my water up to a boil. Right before my water starts to boil, I'll turn it down to low, throw my rice in there, stir it up, put the lid on there, and I'll just let it go. And when this stove burns out with 1 ounce of fuel, the rice is just perfectly done. And that's really nice because you're doing things around camp, and if you know about what time how long your stove's going to last, and you get familiarized with your stove, and you know that it's going to run for 30 minutes, then you can, you don't have to worry about it. You can just kind of leave it alone and let it do its thing while you're doing other things, and you don't have to monitor that. So it's a really nice feature about this particular stove that I really, really like. And I do take that on the trail with me, along with a bottle stove for just boiling water for coffee in the morning and oatmeal or something like that. If I'm going to do some dry baking, I'll use it for dry baking some muffins or something like that in the morning also. So let's let this cool off. When it gets to be about the 40-minute mark, it's 34 minutes now. When it gets to be about the 40-minute mark, we'll try to release it from the dry baking dish and see how it goes. I found that if you just let it cool off, it usually will come right out. I wanted to check this temperature as soon as I pulled it out, and there I was running my mouth, and I forgot to do so. Normally, when I pull them out, in the past, everything's been around a couple hundred degrees. So I'm thinking inside the dry baking, the 12 centimeter cook pot, I'm thinking inside there it's probably around at least 225. Now it's up to 197, so you can see, and it's been sitting there for a good 2-3 minutes. So we'll check the temperature again. When it gets around the 150 mark, it usually releases right out of there. So we'll let it cool down another 5 minutes or so, and then we'll check back. Okay, so we're at the 41-minute mark, and we've let it cool off. Let's see what temp it is now. I suspect it's going to be around the 150 temp range. As you can see, when I stuck that temperature probe in there earlier, I got some dough, wet dough on there, and as you can see, it just comes off because the lid is anodized as well, and real easy to clean up. Scrape that stuff off the lid. Same with the 12 centimeter cook pot. Same with the 12 centimeter cook pot and all my cook pots that have the anodized finish. Okay, well, the temperature is not quite as low as I thought it was. It's 176. But of course, the longer you let it sit, the cooler it's going to get. And what happens is whatever you bake, the biscuit, the muffin, it will shrink and contract, and it'll pull it away from the sides, and that will definitely help you get it out of the pot. So let's go ahead and see if it'll come out, I should say, with the way it is right now. We're at 42 minutes, and I can pick this up with my bare hand, but I can tell you it's hot, especially on the bottom, so be careful. Just tap it around, and there you go. Comes right out, and you can see there's a lot of residue left on the bottom of the pot, but the dry baking dish, but that will just wipe out, and with a paper towel and a little water, you definitely get that right out. It doesn't stick. It's still kind of warm, so it's not coming out as easy as it has in the past. Like I said, around 150. It's a good temperature range. But you can see it comes out. A little water and of course would help. But it basically wipes out. You don't have to worry about it sticking. As you can see, it pops right out. I'm really pleased with the way the dry baking dish works. The whole cook set. The anodized finish is really a nice thing to have when you're dry baking. At home, you've got cooking spray, parchment paper, that kind of thing. Philip, a gentleman who purchased my, he was one of the first people to purchase my dry baking combo, that first run I had, and he's from Australia, and he did. He sent me a lot of comments on his dry baking. He uses parchment paper in the bottom of the cook pot. He's done cakes, a lot of different items in his bread, a lot of different stuff in his dry baking combo. He loves it. It works great for him. And in fact, everyone that's purchased the dry baking kit, I've just gotten a lot of good reviews from it. That's the whole package of chocolate chip muffin mix, and as you can see, it makes a really good sized muffin. And let's check and see if the inside got cooked. It's done on the inside, nice and brown on the outside. It smells wonderful, and I can tell you for a fact that it's definitely something that you would love to have for breakfast. This is your Betty Crocker chocolate chip muffin mix using the BatchStovez 12 centimeter dry baking combo, featuring the dry baking dish and the 12 centimeter cook pot. I'm Sam at BatchStovez. thanks for watching the video. Please stop by the website, see what we have to offer, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Have a great day.